Okay, let's get into it. Market's still open here. It's 12:05 for me. Pretty much power hour, so whatever's gonna happen has already happened. Um, so I just want to get this out for you guys pretty early because when I leave here, I won't be back home until night. But two things. One, I am very sorry if I confused a lot of you yesterday. Yesterday was just a brain fart type of day for me. If you watched the live trading session, you noticed I put the wrong month, I think. And then my mistake was I thought today the market was closed. Today is a federal holiday. The banks are closed. It's Veterans Day. That being said, if anyone here that's a part of our community has served, I just want to say thank you for your service. I come from a military background family, so thank you for your service. But I thought today the market was closed, and it was not. So my apologies if I confused all of you. In the pre-market video coming into today, I kept saying Wednesday, Wednesday. But nevertheless, it doesn't matter. I got the video out for you, so you had a pre-market game plan coming into today. I do believe everything happens for a reason because I did not miss out today. Nothing happened. So I'm happy I used this day as an off day. Today would have been a cash day anyway. Nothing really occurred. Very slow day in the market, which is, hey, no surprise, due to it being Veterans Day. Banks are closed. So let's get into it. And I'll do a session recap of today, and I'll do my best to keep this quick, clean, and easy. So, SPY. We're not surprised, right? I mean, this thing's moving higher. The game plan coming into today was a pullback long off of 673 or a break and retest over 679.85. And you can clearly see we ended up getting that break and retest over 679.85. So if you're able to stick around for that, kudos to you. Super solid trade. Now, going into tomorrow, the thing about the SPY, and I'm kind of hands off, at least for me personally, like, hey, if you want to trade this, look for a scalp, by all means do so. We're already at the top of this range. You know how I feel about entering late to the party at all-time highs. I really wanted this down here, right? I really wanted that down here, but we never got it. We started this week with a gap. So, this is still a very big gap in the market. And then today we got the break and retest. So if you were able to get in here, that was a good dip buy. You can see, right? That's a good dip buy. You can take a break and retest over this for a scalp and then hopefully look for that continuation push into all-time highs. That is a very valid shot. But you're entering late to the party. So, if you start to see some sellers up here, just do not be surprised. And I mean, look, we're at 683.35. All-time highs is 689.70. We are not far away from all-time highs. This market is moving. It's bullish. So coming into tomorrow, at least for me, I would love a pullback long off the 679.85. I was kind of hoping the market would stay a little heavy today just to kind of fill this gap. And then we see one of those. But clearly, I mean, look at this candle. Look at that candle. Buyers are in control. Last 3 days in a row, right? Buyers are in control very aggressively. This market is moving higher. So I wouldn't be surprised, if tomorrow or the day after we just make, new all-time highs. So you can see here, right? If you're able to catch that, super solid. I broke this down yesterday. I'll break it down again. What were we looking for? Right? Just old resistance start to become, right? Back into support. And you saw that today. That is beautiful. That is textbook. So we know we're bullish buys on the SPY. You're just looking for continuation. Remember, the dip is your friend. So going into tomorrow, right? A pullback long over 679.85. I doubt we will, but if this thing just wants to stay heavy and pull all the way back down here to 673, I'm looking for that, or just a break and retest over 685.25. But you are looking for longs on this names. So something I also wanted to break down, and a little tip, a little advice. So you don't need a lot of money to make a lot of money in options. And at one point in my career when I started, guess what? I did not have a big account either. And this is why I'm really trying to teach you market structure and being on the right side of the fence and taking high probability trades. Now, like I've been saying, the trend is your friend and the dip is your best friend. If you're trying to grow a small account, bro, I promise you, trade with the overall time frame, right? If we see this market is trending, your mind should be fixated on pullback longs. You should not be trying to short this market on quick, 5-minute ORBs to the downside and stuff like that. You tell me, right? Yeah, maybe you would have got a break and retest under the lower day on a zero, probably paid you well. But you tell me, right? What's the better RR trade, the bigger trade? Trading with the overall time frame. What do I always say? I love it when we fell a key level, we reclaim it. And what does that do? Fuels this move to the upside. We see this every single day. So I wanted to hit on that, right? If you have a small account, trade with the overall time frame and you will grow that account. I promise you that much if you trade correctly. There is no right or wrong way to trade, as we know, but what I'm trying to teach you is higher probability setups, trading with the overall time frame. So that being said, and another tip is you're not looking to scale out. When I was trading with a small account, like what's leaving two contracts on a run going to do for me? You know what I mean? So yeah, you can do that to practice good habits, but if you're really trying to grow a small account, focus on big RR trades, right? You're not trying to focus on, these quick hits, these quick base hits. Every trade you enter should be a high RR trade, right? High RR trades only. So that being said, I wanted to hit on that just so you can see, right? You see this fall during the intraday today and you think, all right, well, let me look to short today. The market wants to be heavy, but your mindset should be, okay, either this market's going to fill this gap or I'm just looking for pullback longs. We know that. So that being said, you can see here, we ended up falling under, and as soon as we reclaim, the 679, look at that. Look at that, right? The trend is your friend, the dip is your friend. So I want to hit on that. Qs. So Qs, I ended up changing my key level down here. At first, I think it was like 618. I ended up changing this key level to 617.20. You can clearly see why. Every time we pull back to this level, buyers step up aggressively. As you know, I always say the deeper the pullback, the better. So you can see here on the daily, every time we pull into 617.20, buyers step up aggressively. So this is a key level that I really like. So going into tomorrow, as we know, right, the trend is your friend, the dip is your best friend. I want that to be stuck with you. I wouldn't necessarily say like I'm avoiding this channel, but you don't want anything to do dead smack in the middle of that range, right? This is a high probability play. I like a long off of that. If this thing, remember, this is a gap. That's a gap. So if this thing wants to fall under 617.20, I love this. off of 612.80. This is still the key level I've been waiting for. I feel like we never really got a solid break and retest off this level. So I'm looking for a pullback off of that, or just a break and retest over 626.60, targeting the top of this range and all-time highs. You can clearly see SPY has a little bit more divergence compared to the Qs. It's much stronger. So there still are some big opportunities here on the Qs. So just be cautious of that. Be mindful. One thing as well that I do want to hit on, be careful if you look for this pullback long off of 617.20. The reason I'm saying be careful is because what's right under that, this gap, that's a big gap. That is a very big gap. So, if we fall under that, just don't be surprised. This market is pulling back, filling this gap. So just be sure, if this pullback does occur, just read the price action here. Make sure you see strong buyer step in before you take your shot there. Tesla, nothing going on Tesla. Like I said, as long as we're above 410, we're bullish biased, and we're just back in dead smack no man's land. There's nothing going on here. So I'm just hands off on Tesla. Nvidia, solid day. I was hoping Nvidia and AMD would pull back a little bit more, right? Keep in mind, and I'll draw this out for you. These are still gaps. Remember, we started yesterday. We started this market this week with a gap in the market. So this, can't forget, is a gap. This is a gap right here. So today was a good day. Today was a solid day. It pulled back. I hoped it pulled back a little bit more, but it didn't, right? Because remember, yesterday we started here. So today we did pretty good, filling the gap. Wish we would have filled it a little bit more. If you watched that live trading session yesterday, I said, within the first 48 hours, those gaps are typically filled. So tomorrow, the same game plan coming into today, you're looking for a break and retest over 195.60. I love this. The reason I love that is, it also correlates with the previous day high. So that's a good confluence there for me, right? You can see previous day high. So I'll be looking for that, targeting top of this range or a pullback long off of 190.10. This is really the better long here just because, right, it fills the gap even more, right? This is market structure, and the deeper the pullback, the better, like I always say. But either way, both of these are very solid. So I'm looking for a long over 195.60, targeting top of that range, or a pullback long over 190.10. As you can see, right, we didn't really miss anything today. Today was a cash day for me, but today, if you came to the charts, I'm sure you didn't take a trade. There's just nothing going on. Like, we started heavy to the downside. We know we're not looking to short this name. So cash day all around. Not much today. So I don't I don't have any FOMO. I don't feel like I missed out. Apple, bro. Apple is one of them ones, man. I'm telling you, Apple's an interesting one. Now, I've been saying this for a while. Like, if you compare Apple to the Qs, Apple has had relative strength compared to Qs for over a week. And I'm gonna break that down very thoroughly so you can see. So we knew, I took my shot twice in a row on Apple, and today is a big day. And the reason today is a big day is because we finally got a daily candle closure above here. That's a big deal. That's a big deal, right? We avoided this channel. We knew we didn't want anything in here. We took our shot 2 times in a row. Monday it ended up panning out. Friday it was a base hit. It just wasn't ready. And today, right, we finally got it. Now we can't be surprised that this thing had a blow off top. This is a lot of built up liquidity, and boom, straight to the upside. So we're not surprised there. We're pretty much almost back at all-time highs. So game plan for me going into tomorrow is, remember, I always say the break and retest occurs on every key level. I'm sorry, on every time frame. Doesn't matter what. So tomorrow, I am waiting for a daily candle to form above our 271.40. I want a daily wick off this key level. Looking for that. That is a valid shot. You can target the previous day high, and you can target all-time highs. That is the A+ setup that I'm looking for tomorrow. If, we open up at the top and we open above the previous day high, I'm hands off. Like I said, I don't want to enter this party late. I don't want to be in a long entry up here when all-time highs is already here. So tomorrow, daily candle form above this, and I'm looking for that. There's a lot of thin volume. Straight up equals straight down. So if we can get that, that is perfect. Like I always say, I want to see the top of this range turn into support. I want to see the top of this range turn into support. If Apple wants to stay heavy, I doubt it will, but just in case it does, remember, we're still looking for this. We ended up breaking this level, but we never got the retest. But game plan tomorrow, A+ long, is off of 271.40. If this thing just wants to rip to the upside and continue higher, I'm hands off. Let's go here on the intraday, right? Ended up getting that break, strong momentum, strong breakout. Didn't get a deep enough pullback, so if you didn't catch that, right, don't feel bad about it. Never got a deep enough pullback to risk off this 271.40, and this thing just trended higher. And that's what I've been saying about Apple. I'm gonna keep taking my shots until it sets up. And there's no in between on a name like Apple. Apple is either gonna have a really crappy price action day, or it's gonna have a really good price action day. There is no in between. I've been trading this name long enough to know that. And you can see today was just a clean price action day, right? Big blow off top, good displacement, pull back, and this thing just trended higher. So beautiful thing on Apple. We'll see tomorrow if it wants to stay heavy, right? It could chop tomorrow. What do I always say? A nice, beautiful, trendy day is followed up by consolidation. So if that happens tomorrow, right, we can't be surprised. But this is what we've been waiting for, right? This thing's been in a channel for this long, which is crazy. So today, we got that break. Kind of got the retest, not deep enough for my liking. So tomorrow, or really for the next couple of days, I just want to see the top of this channel turn into support. AMD, right? Really nothing here. Today was a solid day. Like I said, hold on. Let me break this down for you. Today was a good day to sit on the sidelines. Why? Because it filled this gap. That is beautiful. That's no coincidence that buyers are stepping up here at this 234.20, right? Let's break this down thoroughly. So if you were able to catch this pullback long today, really off this key level, kudos to you. I wasn't really looking for that. Like, coming into today, this was our no trade zone. I don't want anything to do in here just because of all of that. I don't like that, right? So AMD is really like on my close watch, and I'm really going to break down to you why. This is like probably my A plus close watch that I'm looking for on AMD. A couple of reasons. One, today was a good day. Why? Because remember, we started the day off or the week off with that. Today, it filled this gap. That is beautiful. We know we're bullish bias. There's no coincidence that buyer stepped up here and pushing this thing higher, right? The dip is your friend. So if you caught that, kudos to you. Now, what I like about AMD is this. This is what I like on AMD. We have a bull flag setting up on the daily. Bro, if we can get a break and retest over this 242.80, there's nothing in its way. Like I said, I love a trade all in here. I already broke this down. There's a lot of thin volume in here. Straight up, straight down. I love it. I'm comfortable taking a trade over 242.80, targeting the top of this range. So coming into tomorrow, that is my game plan. I'm looking for, right, a break and retest over 242.80. You can see at the end of the day, we pretty much having a crazy rally. It tried to retest and hold, but it gave up. But it filled its gap. Today was a good day. Today it filled its gap, filled its objective. That's what I love to see. That's what I wanted to see. You can see there's a little bit of seller sitting up here, right? But like I said, this is not a key level for me. This is a great RR trade. If we can get this, right, this break and retest over this 242.80, there is nothing in its way to the upside. So I'm looking for that tomorrow. If you want to look for a pullback long off this 234.20, by all means, you can do so. But for me, this is a channel I'm not comfortable with. I don't want to take a trade in here. I'm good on it. But the main two key levels for me is like this 242.80, or I doubt we will, but just in case we do, a pullback all the way back down to 225. We know this is our key level. This is the breaker structure level. So tomorrow, all eyes for me is just on 242.80. If we want to gap up, I'm comfortable with taking a break and retest over 252.90 or a pullback long over 252.90. But AMD, right, this 242.80, that is the key level for me going into tomorrow. Palantir, I mean, bro, I've been saying this for a while. We know we're looking for a long over 188. We know we've been looking for a long over 188, and we got it. We got it. So today was a day where, hey, look at this. And I've been trying to teach you that the break and retest occurs on everything, on every time frame. This is solid. We got the breakout yesterday on the daily. And this is kind of what I just drew out on Apple on what I'm looking for tomorrow. We got the breakout on the daily, the candle closure. Now, what did we do today? We pulled back. We got the candle closure, the candle wick on the daily, on the pullback, and then this thing pushed higher. This is exactly what I'm looking for tomorrow on Apple. So I just drew that out. I'm glad we were able to see a live example here, a visual of what I'm talking about. This is textbook. This is textbook on Palantir. So, right, break yesterday, retest today, continuation higher. That is beautiful. You go here on the intraday, right? You see, we ended up pulling back. We fell under. What does that do? Fuels that move higher. That is textbook. That's exactly what you're looking for. Even yesterday, we got the perfect break, clean price action, pulled back, buyer stepped up, pushed this thing higher. So Palantir is in play. So for me tomorrow, I'm looking for either a pullback long off of this 188, targeting the top of this range, or a break and retest over 198, targeting all-time highs. These are good long shot entries because all-time highs is way up here at 207. So these are good RR trades if we're able to catch these. So that's pretty much it for the main watch list. Side watches I'll get into really quick. Hood, really nothing today. No surprise. But like I said, you know you're bullish bias on this name. So you're just looking for break and retest over key levels. That's a fact. You're just looking along the same break and retest over key levels. Like I said, we're bearish bias once we fall under 120.45. Google, really nothing today. Wasn't a bad day, just not as much as it was yesterday. But like I said, we're already at all-time highs. We're already at all-time highs. So what I would wait for on Google, if you do want to trade this name, give me one sec. If you do want to trade this name, I've been teaching you this, right? You want a big displacement candle. You want a big displacement candle. The bigger the displacement, the better. And then you want to see this turn into support, and then you target that swing high. That's the only way I would look to take a shot on Google sitting up here. That's the only way I would look to take a shot on Google. Other than that, I'm hands off. But this thing is valid, right? The trend is your friend, the dip is your best friend. So going into tomorrow, you're looking for that. But remember, don't take that if it's not big enough displacement. You can expect, some of that tomorrow. If that occurs, don't be surprised. We already made all-time highs again. We just made all-time highs, and then we do that. That's crazy. So just be cautious. You're already sitting at the top of the range, right? I don't like entering late to the party. And then lastly, Amazon. I love this 250. This 250.50. I actually like it. I'm actually watching Amazon. I'm open to taking a trade on this name. If we can get a break and retest over this 250.50, there's really nothing in its way. You can see here on the daily, it's being respected fairly well. Fairly well. I'm actually open to this. So if Amazon, hold on, give me one sec. You can see, right? It's respecting this 250.50 resistance level. Not a single daily candle closure above it. Every time buyers push this thing up, sellers are sitting up here pushing it right back down. So tomorrow, this is valid, right? A break and retest over this, great RR trade. You can target here, and you can target all-time highs. So I'm actually liking Amazon. You can stay hands off in the middle of this range. You know you're bullish bias. This is a valid long entry too. You see this set up last week on a Friday. So if you want to look, for this 242 pullback, that's valid. But going into tomorrow, really our key level here is just 250.50. A break and retest over that is very solid. I like that today. This is the previous day high. So if we get a break and retest over the 250.50, that's also a good confluence for me because we'll be sitting above the previous day high. And you always hear me say, I want to see the top of this range turn into support. So I will be watching Google. I'm sorry, Amazon. I'll actually set an alert right now. Range break. I will be watching this tomorrow, and if we can get a break and retest over that, we can see this push into all-time highs. Now, I said I'll show you what I mean when I say the correlation of AMD, NVIDIA, and Qs, and you'll see exactly what I mean right now. So the reason I really like Apple, right? I'll show you this one sec. The reason I really like Apple and I've been watching Apple is because the clear divergence on this name compared to the overall market. Now, look at Apple, right? And then look at Q's. And this has been every day, right? Q starts to the downside, trending, starting the day off that way. Look at Apple. Clear divergence. This has been every day, even yesterday. Now look at AMD, right? It's in sync with the Qs. Look at AMD. Look at NVIDIA, right? And then look at QQQ. All in sync. So if you watch my live trading session last week on Friday, you see me skip AMD because it was pulling back with the overall market that was very heavy, filling its gaps and filling thin volume. So this is what I mean when I say, sometimes I skip trades that's set up on a technical standpoint because if these names like AMD and NVIDIA approach a key support level and I'm looking for a pullback long, right? But the overall market is pulling back and I see they're in sync, I'm going to skip that trade. Why have I been liking Apple? Because Apple has just been showing us clear divergence. Just clear divergence against the overall market. See what I mean? So the overall market is pulling back today. What is Apple doing? Rallying to the upside. What did it do yesterday? Starts the morning off rallying to the upside. So I kind of wanted to break that down, show you a live example of what I mean when I say, you know what? I'm skipping this trade. These names are in sync with the overall market. This is why I'm focused on this name because it has divergence against the overall market. So hope that helps. Hope this game plan helps. If you took a trade today, hope you had a good day. Sorry for the confusion. I know a lot of people had a cash day today, so kudos to you for being patient. Like I said, some of the best traders can show up every day and do absolutely nothing. Not trading is still trading and proper risk management. So let's have a day. Let's keep this momentum going. Let's have a good day tomorrow, and I will see you guys tomorrow.